Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. My mother in law never fails to create scenes, and sometimes they are quite funny, to be honest. My husband is her only son, and she's possessive like hell. My husband had dated a girl before me, and my mother in law was not allowing my husband to move out of her house and live with that girlfriend. When we eventually took a stand and moved out, she would call at odd times and would tell him that she needed something or was scared alone at home. When that continued for a couple of months and it got hectic for my husband, he decided to move back into my mother in law's house along with his ex girlfriend. My mother in law, of course, made sure to make her life a living hell, and she had to give up on the relationship and run. My husband had a very bad fight with his mom and went NC for a while, but then my mother in law was diagnosed with heart disease and needed constant care, so my husband came back to her. When we started dating, my husband was reluctant to introduce me to his mom, and that made me suspicious. When I got to see her and spent some time, I got why my husband resisted. She was very judgmental and had a lot of questions. She asked what my dad did, what my mom did, how they got married, where I was born, which school I attended, where I was working, how much I was earning, and everything that an interviewer would ask. She then started talking about my husband's ex and told me that she was a bitch and controlled her son. She even wept to describe how left out she felt in that girl's presence. I was there and then made up my mind that if I wanted the relationship to work, I had to keep that woman away. A couple of months later, I asked my husband if he wanted to move in with me in my apartment. He agreed and was packing his stuff the next day when his mom started weeping and told him that she could not stay without him and he should make me move in with them. My husband, of course, did not listen to her and moved in with me. That was when the past started repeating itself. My mother in law would call at the least expected times and would ask for something or would tell me that she did not feel well. As her health was my husband's major concern, which she misused very efficiently, I suggested he hire a nurse for her. When my husband got her a nurse, she created a scene and would tell everyone that she was an unlucky mom as her son hired a nurse for her because he was tired of her. Well, we did not care about that at all. We went to her place to announce that we had decided to get married, and she couldn't take that. She acted like she was feeling difficulty breathing and kept saying that how could we decide on our own without involving her? We hurried her to the hospital, and there she kept telling my husband that he was rushing and should take his time. We did not change our minds, of course, and got married a couple of months later. My mother in law just could not bear me in her son's life. After our wedding, every day was a new drama, and that sort of exhausted us. She's always calling us and tries her best to convince my husband to get back to her and see her. My husband started turning his phone off at night, and that brought a bit of peace to our lives. So it was a family gathering, and we were having dinner when my mother in law asked if we were planning a family. I was a bit awkward and asked her what sort of question that was. She laughed a bit and said that I was reacting like I was infertile, and there was not even a question about me getting pregnant. I was furious and went numb for a while. I then got up from my seat, went near her, and acted as if I fainted. I kept yelling that I could not breathe and then stood up and laughed hysterically. I then asked her if it was the reaction she was expecting and that I had tried my best to learn from her, but no one could ever act like her as she was the best actor. After that, everyone was laughing there instead of my mother in law, who had no idea how to react. She left immediately. My husband minded a bit, but I did not even care. If she wants drama, I am here to deliver, but of course, not better than her. My husband was all right for a couple of days, but my mother in law was not. Everyone in the family was talking about her, and she had literally made a drama out of herself. She kept telling my husband that she was not feeling well, and a daughter in law like me was going to get her in the grave. My husband did not take her seriously and told her that she started that by herself because she could not bear anyone. My mother in law had called her sister to stay with her because, according to her, she felt the sickest after that gathering and thought that she would not live long. Now, the sister of hers was just like her, or let us say an improved version of her. She called my husband and sort of rebuked him, saying that his mom needed him and how could he act that insensitive. My husband told her that he could move in with her right away, along with me, but she would never be near me. He also told her that he had already hired a nurse for her, and as she was also there, his mother should feel better, but she just wants to get control of our lives. He then told my mother in law's sister to call him only when there is an emergency. So my husband's aunt, mother-in-law's sister, took to Facebook and indirectly bashed me, saying that daughter-in-laws of this generation were insensitive and snatched sons from their moms who had spent their whole lives raising them. It was quite a long speech, and Her Highness had elaborated on each situation, portraying me as an evil daughter-in-law who could not bear her mother-in-law. To be honest, I had a good laugh. My husband also read that and told me to ignore it. I told him that I was going to react. So what I did was that I dressed up like my mother-in-law the next day and shot a video acting like I was short of breath and wept, telling everyone that I could not bear my daughter-in-law living a happy life with my son and would do everything to disturb their peaceful life because that is how mother-in-law should be. I posted that video and believe me, it was shared by half of the city. My husband once again told me that I was just wasting my time, but I literally enjoyed it like hell. We had arranged a dinner party and had invited almost the whole family but my mother-in-law and her sister. My husband asked me if we could invite them as it would not seem good, and as we had not seen my mother-in-law since that gathering, and also she would not feel left out. I had no problem as I knew that she was going to behave herself as everyone in the family knew she was being ridiculous. I had called my sister over to my place to help me with the cooking, as there were a lot of guests and I could not manage all by myself. My mother-in-law and her sister had arrived early and sat in the lounge whispering in each other's ears. I went to my bedroom to get ready as the dishes were ready. My sister saw my mother-in-law go into the kitchen and asked if she needed anything. She told her that she could get water by herself. My sister kept an eye and saw my mother-in-law hovering over the food. She started filming because she knew my mother-in-law was up to something. So my mother-in-law sprinkled salt all over the pies and never knew that she was being recorded. My sister then came to me and shared the whole situation. I showed that video to my husband and told him to order dessert as we could not serve the pies. The guests arrived and the dinner was served. My mother-in-law had an evil smile that faded when we served ice cream. She asked about the pies, and I replied that they did not taste well, so I decided to leave them aside. She went to the kitchen, brought the pies, and tasted a slice. She then told everyone that they tasted great and started offering the pie to the guests. I told everyone not to take the pie and told my sister to play the video on the smart TV. It was clear enough to figure out what was going on and know that the icing on the pies was salt. Everyone had a huge laugh and told my mother-in-law to grow up. Thank you for the concern, guys. I never took my mother-in-law as a threat and literally enjoyed her kiddish dramas. We did not invite her after that, and only my husband would visit her occasionally too because she did not actually feel well. She did not try to create any other scenes after that and would only complain to my husband now and then. My husband got transferred to New York, so we had to move. My mother-in-law's sister had decided to move in with her, and I guess they're made for each other. I only wonder who is going to keep that gang busy after I've left. NTA, I mean, such an awesome OP. The way she reciprocated without taking anything to her ego was amazing. She radiated positivity. OP kept her mother-in-law in place too in such a cool manner. She fought back in her mother-in-law style and did not let her take over. The way OP was always up with an idea to dodge mother-in-law was commendable. NTA, the mother-in-law seemed a little spoiled girl who wanted attention and could do anything for that. All she wanted from the start to end was attention, and acting for it was her expertise. Mother-in-law's sister was no less, and I do not understand what she had to do with the family, as it did not bother her directly or indirectly. I fear they both are going to attack each other as they are left alone. I'm a 35-year-old male and I have 2 children and 1 on the way. My soon-to-be 3 younger kids are with my wife, Bailey, 34, female. And my oldest, Aria, 16, female, is with an ex-girlfriend of mine, Sarah, 34. Aria and I have never had a chance to be close, given that she and Sarah live across the country. I see her on a fairly regular schedule, mostly over school breaks, but sometimes things come up. Sarah wants to take her somewhere, commitments with my younger kids or my wife's side of the family, etc. Admittedly, we were not incredibly close even when she comes to visit us. We do talk. I'm not completely ignoring her. There just isn't a whole lot for us to go off of. So she does her own thing, I do mine. I'm happy to take her on outings with my family when she's here, text and call her when I can, send gifts for Christmas and birthdays. I'm just sorry to say that she's more Sarah's daughter than mine, in both personality and relationship wise. We don't click the way that I do with my other kids, but I'm still trying to be a presence. We try to get family portraits done once every other year, at least. Kids grow so fast, and we're just trying to capture those memories while they last. Bailey and I were talking about getting one done in late July or early August after the baby arrives. I suggested August to give Bailey some time to rest before making any plans, but Bailey insisted on July since Aria is meant to be staying with us for a few weeks then. Apparently, she'd already told Aria that she'd get to be in the photo since she hasn't in any of the others thus far. I'm not going to make my wife go back on her word and seem like a liar. So I didn't say no, but suggested that we could go for 2 photos then, one with just the immediate family. She asked what I meant by that, and I explained to her that although Aria is biologically my child, she's not necessarily part of our family unit. She doesn't live with us full time. She pops in once or twice a year. We're not raising her, she just visits us. She's not any more involved with us or the baby than a distant cousin might be. Bailey got very upset with me and asked if I'd think the same way about our children if we were to end up splitting up. I told her of course not, but that was pretty much the end of the discussion. She told me I'd said a disgusting thing and she didn't want to hear it. I don't want to be the jerk that chalks it up to hormones, but I can't see where there was a problem with what I said. I didn't turn down the photos, say anything disparaging about Aria, or drag my other children into it. I just like a second opinion on if what I said was a problem. AITA? You are literally following the disconnect from the old family in favor of the new family stereotype. How is it Aria's fault that you're no longer with her mother, that she lives far away, or that you're not willing to make a real effort to be a part of her life? Because those are all your reasons for not considering her real family. YTA. YTA, I feel horrible for Aria. Although you may not say anything disparaging about her, don't you think she can feel the tension with you when she does see you? If you have hardly any relationship with her, that is your own fault. You should have tried harder. She is your child just as much as the other 3. And then to blame your wife's behavior on hormones? Wow. Just the icing on the cake. Do better. Be a father to all of your children. This is kind of all over the place, but I will try to be thorough. My sister and I went halves on a home after the passing of my children's father 2 years ago. I have 3 children, 11 male, 9 female, 7 male, before my husband's passing. We lived on a farm and my oldest son loved helping his father. It was their thing. Like, if I would try to help at all, my boy and his father would cut in and be like, absolutely not, this is our thing. I couldn't leave the farm and take that from my child after he just lost his dad, his best friend. So my sister said she would help me buy the farm. It's a 6-bedroom home, has 39 acres, and costs a little over $326,000 buying price. I'm very thankful and appreciative that my sister helped me do this because Lord knows I wasn't able to do this alone. My boy still goes out and tends to this farm religiously, and I feel it's his way of honoring his dad. There's not much to do anymore, but he goes out and does what needs to be done. About 5 months ago, my sister asked permission to move in with her boyfriend of a year, Charles. I didn't mind it, after all she had done for us. I, of course, said yes, but he prolonged it and didn't move in until last month, claiming he had loose ends he needed to tie up before moving in. I've known this boy since he was about 14 years old. He is now 26. Since he moved in a month ago, shit has hit the kettle pot. He is just a nasty man. No manners, speaks out of a dark place, not a good influence. So when my sister said they were looking to buy a home, which they are in the process of choosing on, I was so relieved. Well, my oldest son stayed home from school on Monday through today with an upset stomach. Monday and Tuesday, he was holed up in bed all day and hardly ate. But today, despite feeling much better, I kept him home to be safe. So he goes out and deals with the farm early this morning as usual. Well, I get up at 9 a.m. and hear my sister's boyfriend going off on my boy while my son was eating his cereal, talking about, "You look damn fine to me, so why the hell ain't you at school today?" This was unacceptable. We need time away from kids. My boy is just sitting there like a deer in headlights. So I lost it and I told him to get gone. He starts trying to explain himself and I yell super loud and said, "Get the hell off my property," I said. He leaves. But now my sister is holding it against me, despite me telling her that if he ever speaks to my children like that, and he is as good as the devil in my book. AITA? My sister has no legal attachment to the home. When we signed the contract, we had lawyers sign off on her, only sharing co-signer, but having no legal attachment to the property. In the event of my not making payments, her moving, getting divorced, etc., she will not have any standing on the property. When she helped me buy this property, she made it clear to the lawyers that this was for me and my kids only, not her. Thankfully, the lawyer was able to draw up paperwork stating that under no circumstances could my sister take the home or be in debt in the event of me not being able to make the payment. Therefore, she has been living here, but bills have only been in my name. NTA, don't mess with Mama Bear. He was way out of line talking to your boy that way. He isn't his father. If you want to keep him home from school, the reason, or even lack of for that matter, it's no one's business but yours and your son's. I'd have done the same. Charles has always been the man she had eyes for. He was our brother's friend for many years. Round here, where we are, we don't get much of a variety. We only have 326 population in our small town. I would like to believe that she's settled, but she has always been crazy over this boy despite his record. With all that aside, I had never seen him be rude or disrespectful to innocent children, which is why I made the choice of giving my blessing to him moving in to begin with. I'm not sure my sister can see him without the yellow shadow that she has cast him in, unfortunately, but I'm sure she will find out soon enough and she will be right back here. I will welcome her, of course, and not put in my "I told you so," but she will learn.